Brewbird. I'm a Canadian girl training to be a whiskey distiller in Scotland. Welcome to the Distilled Kitchen, where we're making British dishes and cocktails, because every good dish deserves a good drink. My coworker brought in a tin of oatmeal biscuits for us to nibble on, and I thought they were scrumptious. She gave me the recipe, which she herself acquired from her time working in a school cafeteria in Northern Ireland. And now you have the recipe too. So let's get baking. First, we'll preheat our oven to 180 degrees Celsius, and then go measure out our ingredients. We need 150 grams of caster sugar. If you don't have caster sugar, you can make your own by putting granulated sugar in a food processor and whizzing it for a few minutes until the sugar is very fine or powder-like. The only difference between caster sugar and granulated sugar is that caster sugar is more finely ground, so the sugar crystals dissolve more easily. But if taking out your food processor seems like too much of a bother, then just use granulated sugar. It won't make too much of a difference in this particular recipe. Next, we'll measure 300 grams of margarine, 150 grams of plain white flour, and 350 grams of rolled Scottish oats. In all my years of baking, this is the first time I've measured out my ingredients by weight. As you may know, in Canada and North America in general, we use the imperial system for measuring out our ingredients. When you use cups and spoons to measure ingredients, you are measuring by volume rather than weight, so it's easy to mess it up. For instance, if you measure a cup of flour that is unsifted versus sifted, the unsifted flour may have lumps in it, and you'll end up measuring a different amount versus if you had measured sifted flour. However, if you use the metric system, which measures by weight, you won't have this potential problem. Next, we'll cream the sugar and margarine together with a wooden spoon. When the sugar and margarine are well mixed, we'll add in our flour and our rolled oats and mix it all together until well combined. Then we'll make small dough balls by rolling the dough in the palm of our hands. You should get about 30 dough balls. On a baking tray lined with parchment paper, we'll flatten out our dough balls and send them off to the oven for approximately 10 minutes. I put mine in the oven for 11 minutes because that's when the edges were just starting to brown. Since every oven is a little different, make sure to check in on your biscuits to see how they're doing. If you can, resist the urge to open the oven door, as it'll just let out all the heat and you won't get an accurate estimate for your baking time. I've just taken the biscuits out of the oven, and I'll decorate them by sprinkling some granulated sugar on top. The residual heat from the biscuits will slightly melt the sugar crystals, making them stick to the top of them. These are perfect dipped in a cup of tea or with a glass of milk. Today, we're adding alcohol to a glass of cream and making a White Russian cocktail. Based on the name, you'd think it was invented in Russia, but no. It was invented in Brussels in 1949 by a Belgian barman by the name of Gustav Tops. However, since vodka is the main ingredient and vodka was invented in Russia, we arrive at the name the White Russian. We start with our rocks glass, to which we'll add 3 ice cubes. Then 60 milliliters of vodka, which was distilled twice through activated charcoal to make it extra smooth, and 30 milliliters of Coffee Liqueur. If we stop right here, then we have a Black Russian, the sister cocktail to the White Russian. But to this, we'll add 30 milliliters of Scottish single cream to transform it into a White Russian. Biscuits are always a treat, especially when they're fresh from the oven. They're warm and slightly moist in the center, and you can feel kinda healthy about it since we're getting some fiber from all the rolled oats inside. The White Russian is creamy, refreshing, and the perfect finish for this sweet treat. I think it's time I sit down for my cuppa. So don't forget to subscribe below, and I'll see you next time.